Hello there, this is Abdurrahman from Maple Systems, and I'll be continuing the data transfer ladder logic instruction in this video tutorial. We have an empty subroutine currently open right now. Let's hover over the data transfer tab and place the table initialize ladder instruction on rung number 1 of the logic block. To get a better idea of what we're talking about and what we're dealing with, let's view the functionalities of the table initialize ladder instruction on the HMC. As you can see here, if we choose any sort of value for the top left register and hit the init button, all the registers on the right column initialize to the register on the top left. The same is true for the constant below the top left register. If we hit these buttons, the right column initializes to the constant which is stated on the button. So let's initialize to 1 to 10, and lastly to 100. First, the idea of a table that we discussed in the invert transfer video tutorial is crucial for the explanation of table initialize ladder instruction. This ladder instruction will only be executed when the coil preceding it turns on, like any other instruction that we talked about previously. When an instruction executes, the register on the left-hand side, or operand A, or the source, will initialize its value, and that value could be a constant, to a table defined on the right-hand side, or operand B, or the destination. In other words, the value from the source register will be moved to the destination registers, which is simply a table. Once the instruction is executed, the output line turns on. Let's review this functionality on screen C1. As you can see here, the register and buttons on the left column of the screen are individual sources, and the registers on the right column are the destination registers. These registers are in table or block form, where the starting register is D300 and N equals 5. The first register value on the left column is chosen by the user. Once chosen, the init button is pressed, and as a result turns on the init register coil. The ladder logic is in subroutine screen C1 logic. This is conveniently placed here. As you can see, when the appropriate coil turns on, the table initialize ladder instruction executes, which basically moves the value from the source register to the destination table. In our case, the table would be D300, D301, 302, 303, and D304. The same is true for the buttons underneath the first registers on the left column, but they initialize using a constant value rather than a register. This is apparent when observing the ladder logic block. Finally, let's review screen C1 on the HMC. First, we choose a value for the top left register. Let's choose 12,345. Next, we hit the init button, which turns on the coil and executes the initialize table ladder instruction, which in turn initializes the registers D300 to D304. Let's choose another value and repeat the step. Next, let's press the init 1 button. As you can see, this initializes the table with a constant 1. The init 10 button initializes with a constant 10, and lastly the init 100 button initializes with a constant 100.